Well, it looks like the venerable A-10 Thunderbolt, otherwise known as the Flying Cross of Death, is still flying and in service. It was going to go to the scrap heap just several months ago, and actually, I'm not too fond of Senator McCain, but this is one thing he actually greatly helped with. He kept it alive, and right now it's being used in bombing ISIS targets in Syria and other campaigns, but it's got the 30 millimeter Gatling gun in the front, and it can sustain heavy, heavy damage and still fly. It's one of the few planes out there that's basically a flying tank. That's what the hell it is. And the 30 millimeter Gatling gun, it's got enough punch to go through pretty much anything, as we see. Peace through superior firepower. Kind of goes back to the old Roman saying, Maxim si vis, pacem, parabellum, right? If you want peace, prepare for war. That's the way it goes, baby. Anyway, it does a number on any kinds of artillery or any kind of entrenched positions or fortified positions with that 30 millimeter Gatling gun, especially when you're using depleted uranium rounds. And actually, this thing is, if you go all the way back to the Flying Tigers, when they had the, what you call the teeth on there, back in World War II, and they'd be prior to World War II when they're actually volunteers under General Chennault. This is actually the only. This actually has a history, genealogy that goes all the way back to the Flying Tigers. That's partly why they use the teeth on the fuselage in the front, and you can see the prominent cannon. Also, that's been used recently, unrelated to the A-10, but for the first time in combat, has been the F-22. Now, here's another example of an A-10 Thunderbolt that returns safely with a lot of heavy damage. It's a flying tank. It's got a very, I forgot how thick it is, how many inches, but there's actually around the pilot, there's like a tub that's made out of titanium that is extremely thick, that can withstand all kinds of rounds and flak and things like that really protects the pilot very well. And the plane just seems to go nice and slow, and it can handle a lot of damage. It's not made anymore. It should be made. But anyway, like I said, the symbolism with the teeth on the front goes all the way back to the Flying Tigers. So, this is one thing that McCain actually did right, because, when I look at this deal, if this thing was done with, they did, it's so stupid. I can't believe how they, they use this excuse to get rid of it to save money, but then the reason they're keeping it on board as part of the weaponry, the close air support, is to save lives. And I'm like, what the heck? That's a no-brainer. That's why they should be making newer ones. But actually, it was built originally by the now defunct Fairchild to destroy Soviet tanks in Europe. So Fairchild is no longer around, but they make replacement wings for this thing. And there's different types of, you could see, here's one type of set of teeth, and here's another set of teeth. I guess it depends on what squadron or whatever they're in, but it actually has its genealogy, goes all the way back to the Flying Tigers, and that's about the only ones that can actually say so, and that's why they're using this. But it's an extremely important plane, and it should be keeping it around for a long time. Nothing actually replaces it, because nothing gets in close. There's nothing as good as a human seeing something there right now and being right there at the moment that could pull the trigger, versus somebody like, so many thousands of feet up that has to relay this back to some, electronic command signal to send something from so many miles away to hit something and with a precise target. It's like, hey, I see it, I kill it, I'm done. That's exactly how the A-10 Thunderbolt works. I see it, I kill it, I'm done. It's all simple. So, but the thing can handle a hell of a lot of damage. It's amazing. Well, it's damn, I'm not a fan of McCain, but I can tell you one thing. As It's one damn thing he did that I really kind of glad he's around for this, because if it wasn't for McCain, I mean, he's not the only supporter of this, but he was a big supporter of keeping this plane going. And right now it's being used against ISIS. So, and you know, this damage, like right now, is not from ISIS. It's actually from prior wars with Iraq. But it can handle a hell of a lot of damage, and still the pilots can return safely, and the planes can be repaired and put back in service, just as you know before. And it's got a hell of a lot of firepower. I mean, that 30 millimeter Gatling gun, you know, one short burst out of that, you know, it's going to make any armored, no matter what it is, you know, especially if you're using depleted uranium rounds, it's going to make it into Swiss cheese. It's going to just blow it the hell up. So anyway, here's the frontal view of this puppy. It's a bad boy. It's been around since the 70s. It's amazing. Well, you know, it's like this. You know, we had the M2, you know, the Mod Deuce, the 50 cal one. It was that around since, you know. It's been around since World War I. It's still around too, isn't it? Now we have the Colt 45, you know, the 1911, right? The 1911 A1. You know, it's replacing the Beretta basically again. You know, they were always using it in special forces. It's been around since 1911. I mean, sometimes some stuff is just that damn good. They ought to keep it. You know, I mean, I'm not saying I'm against progress, but there's some things out there they ought to just keep. And they ought to make a hell of a lot more of these damn things, to tell you the truth, and hide them all over the countryside. So if you ever need them someday, just pull them out. And, you know, they don't need much takeoff area. They can handle a lot of punishment. That's the deal with it, man. Close air support. That's the watchword, the watch phrase of the day. Close air support.